how lonely I am. All my muscles are trembling as if I were at the point of death. Grief, rage, and the sense of being forgotten surround me. But do not let my ecstasy alarm you. It is not so blind as you may fear. Misfortune has made me defiant. I look straight before me, and I see nothing certain. I tremble as much with fear as with hope.
He was a genius and a paradox all at once. If there's one quality one cannot refuse in his works, it is the brilliance, the prodigious color of the orchestration. When we study it, we walk from astonishment to astonishment.
Absolutely amazing, and ahead of its time. Finally, with my new opera Tannhauser, I've managed to unify drama and music in a way that will change the course of history.
The question was, what do you think of Berlioz?
He was guided by a mysterious instinct, and his methods escape analysis for the reason that he did not have any.
Berlioz. You got the greatest composer since Beethoven sitting here, and you want to talk about Berlioz.
Indeed, he was France's greatest composer. Though it must be said, he was a man of great genius, but little talent.
Well, okay. Truth is, I felt like a little schoolboy next to Berlioz. The power and the virtuosity of that orchestra was something I had never dreamed of. But seriously, you're really going to want to check out my opera Tannhauser. It's going to have its Parisian premiere any day now, and these people are going to love it, let me tell you. I mean, enough with these repurposed Italian wannabe operettas. It's time to give these Philistines some culture for change, you know what I'm saying?
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Classical Greg. So first I'd like to thank our distinguished guests for their opinions and background on the star of today's show, Hector Berlioz. As you could probably tell, Berlioz is a bit of a controversial figure, and I think it's worth noting that this piece of music, Symphonie Fantastique, was written less than 5 years after Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and it represents a real shift in compositional ideas. So let's take a peek and see what we're dealing with. So already, some very interesting compositional ideas going on here. At the heart of that opening figure, underneath it all, is just a basic chord progression. G7 going to C minor, establishing the home key of the piece. However, since it's such a strong and well understood harmonic gesture, that is, everybody's used to this basic sound of, that he feels confident enough to add a bunch of non-chord tones and chromaticisms to try to obscure, almost as if he's taking something and painting it again in watercolor. It's just this glistening sound, just this pulsation, and it's like we don't even realize when the piece begins. It kind of fades in from black, and then he adds these dissonances. And then slowly, it's as if something emerges from the fog and we recognize this home key of C minor. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. This is a reminder that Classical Greg is sponsored by viewers like you. So to help out the channel, you can go to the description and I have a link to my Patreon account. And this is a really simple and easy way to support me. And as a result, you get all these amazing perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling that you're helping out the channel. And if you don't want to donate, then you can really help out by smashing the like button, also subscribing to the channel by hitting the button here. And that's all. Thank you, and back to the video. And then here, Berlioz is taking some very unstable chords, that is to say diminished chords, and he's trying to acclimate our ears to them. Notice how he just pauses on these diminished harmonies. and then even adds in the silence so you get a second to think about it. The reason for this is to create more contrast between so-called unstable chords and the nice, juicy, stable chords that we're used to hearing. So that would be just like a normal minor chord. An example of a stable chord or a major chord. An unstable chord could be a dominant seventh chord, which we expect to move to something like there. However, Berlioz really just messes with our idea of how these chords are supposed to work, and he uses them in all sorts of wrong ways, as we'll see. So there's a phrase that ends on this diminished chord, and it resolves to another diminished chord. We're used to diminished chords resolving to stable chords. For example, that chord really should have done something like this. But that's not the way Berlioz rolls. Unstable chord resolving to another unstable chord. This is a new idea, exploring E flat major. Here's the same idea, except less confident this time, fully diminished. The basses are outlining this E flat dominant seventh chord, which telegraphs that the harmonic gravity of the piece wants to shift towards A flat. So let's see if it actually happens. So it does go to A flat, except he adds in these non-chord tones. We get the major 7, the 9th, and even the 13th. So we get this really interesting A flat jazzy chord, which, you know, probably wouldn't hear something like that in Beethoven. Here we are camping out on A flat, and it's like the basses are trying to tell us something. They're insisting that we follow the white rabbit. Wow, so what happened there? Let's recap. So we just leapt straight into C major, and it's like the violins went flying off like a hummingbird or something. But, you know, we have to kind of recognize the fact that a second ago everything was super melancholy and sad, right? So sad. And now all of a sudden it's, you know, it's like we were at the circus. So if we put on our psychologist cap for a second, it almost feels a little bit bipolar, like the music has just leapt to this new happy feeling, the same way that I have leapt into all of these New Year's resolutions that I thought I was going to keep, and then very quickly realized that I wasn't. So I think programmatically it makes sense that this newfound freedom kind of falls on its face, and I think it falls on its face kind of around here. We get this major to minor to diminished to a dominant 7 flat 9 and back to where we started in C minor. I think it's it's worth mentioning before we get further into this melody that in any key, any minor key, a very normal destination to modulate to is going to be the relative major key. So to get there, you just have to go up a minor third from where you start. So in C minor, it's going to be E flat major. If you were in F minor, relative major is A flat major. And it's possible that here Berlioz is making a bit of a commentary on the fact that earlier we had just flown into C major. And it was like we flew too close to the sun and we crashed and burned. So he's saying, you know what, that was a bad idea. I think it's cool, but...
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
So instead, let's just do something Beethoven would have done and just go to the relative major. You know, everyone will be happy. I love that. We just had a half diminished chord resolved to a fully diminished chord. Epic. And doing that creates this nice contrast. So these major chords we hear sound more sweet and satisfying. The strings are tremolo now. Adds to the tension. That's that same motive we heard from the beginning. So we continue now with some more ideas from the opening developed. Here we have those octaves. Lost our way, we can't find our way back. Whoa! Things are jumping out of the shadows. Yikes. Our old friend, A flat in the bass. Diminished resolving to major, just like Wagner would later. So we're camping out here with our old friend A flat in the basses, and Berlioz is going to really try to outdo himself here by harmonizing this not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 7 times. So let's try to follow along. I'm going to start off with D flat major, second inversion. Now A flat major. That our hero kind of takes off, and we hear this leitmotif for the first time and follow him on his lovesick and ultimately tragic journey to hell. Spoilers. So there you have it. This is the first installment of this series, and I hope it's piqued your interest in this really fascinating piece of music. And that's all for now. See you in the next one.